minor coastal flooding, I guess I should say, will occur this morning, and likely about 3 hours before and after times of high tide today. Due to the prolonged strong east winds the last several days and astronomical factors, tides are running about 1 to 3 feet above their predicted values. All right, let's begin looking at what's going on with the system itself. We talked about some windy weather across portions of Florida still, and some soaking rainfall, but it is on the move. You can see that Cuba even, things are lessening a bit with the system moving away from Cuba. Very hard hit. Understand the time of the impact as the system moved ashore, that across a big chunk of Cuba they actually cut the power off due to safety concerns from people working and recovery efforts and rescue efforts, that sort of thing, going out there into parts of Cuba with down lines. So they did cut the power as a precaution in some parts of the island. Cuba, weather getting better. And the Bahamas, things are getting a little worse with the wind kicking up. Luckily, the system has been decreasing in its intensity a bit, and that is rather good news. Now, this indicates the 1 a.m. situation. Now, I want to point out, though, that we're not able to apparently graphically have the 4 a.m. update for Hurricane Michelle. The winds are now down to 100 miles per hour, so 5 miles per hour less, moving on toward the northeast around 17. So now its forward speed has increased, and the system itself has started to wind down just a bit, except a slow increase or increase in its forward speed, but a slow decrease in its intensity. That's a pretty good combination. That means that one of the factors in our favor in South Florida, the system is moving fast, not just hanging on. Of course, in Texas, we know about those systems that hang on with our tropical storm back earlier in the year. The reason the rain amounts were so monumental, nothing to kick that circulation away. It just drifted for a very long time. This is moving past us very fast across South Florida and the Keys. Even moving fast now as it's pushing away from Cuba, letting Cuba dry out. But into the Bahamas, that's where the worst of it may push. Into our Miami, still some soaking rains, but honestly amounts around 1 inch. Some spots a bit more, eventually getting a bit quieter into Key West. Parts of north central Florida, pretty quiet, even through central Florida and southward. Not a major problem right now. Hurricane warnings for the northwest and central Bahamas. These hurricane warnings for Cuba probably lifted a bit later on this morning. We'll be surprised to see that at all. And toward Bermuda, hurricane watch. Think about the fast speed and the weakening of our system. Just a few degrees variation one way or the other over a period of a couple of days can make a big difference in impact or potential impact in toward Bermuda. So bear that in mind. But again, things look a little quieter into portions of South Florida. Tropical storm warnings from the Florida Keys to Jupiter Inlet. Basically what that means is that, although it's a hurricane, tropical storm force winds,
trees and shredded rooftops. Where is the hurricane heading? That answer is on the way.
Meanwhile, the Midwest is seeing record high temperatures. The high in Minneapolis reached 71.
And I'm Jennifer Lopez. Thanks for tuning in tonight. At least 5 people were killed after Hurricane Michelle slammed into Cuba yesterday. Many buildings suffered damage and dozens of homes were destroyed. Today, streets are littered with debris. And as of this morning, electricity remains shut down across the western half of the island. Conditions in the rest of Cuba are unclear because the hurricane knocked out communications. We are also monitoring the situation in Florida as things begin to settle down a bit. Our own Bill Keneally has been in Islamorada, Florida throughout the weekend. Now, the storm is moving away from Florida, but he's here to give us a wrap on the story.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you very much. That's right. Right here in Islamorada, we fared very well, thank you. Peak wind gusts no higher than about 55 miles per hour. And I want to tip my cap to the Hurricane Center. A very good forecast. And thankfully, Michelle stayed true to form and did not misbehave. Behind me, some very well-behaved waterways. These are the Florida Straits, and this is a very good waterway in the sense that there was no surge, there was no really high swell action, and we consequently did not see any road closures. On the other hand, over by the southeastern coast, the Gold Coast did not fare near as well. I want to show you some pictures, Jennifer. We've talked about it all week long. It seems like it's been going about 5, 6, 7 days now. But that incessant northeast wind, check out those palm trees. That incessant northeast wind, courtesy of that high, it just parked itself off the coast of New Jersey. That working in conjunction with Michelle, really taking its toll, and some accounts now stating this beach erosion is going to take a long time to fix, and some of the worst they've seen in quite some time. And again, that is about 50 miles off to my northeast in Broward and also Miami-Dade County. So To wrap it up here, we had a pretty good showing. We had peak winds 50, 55 miles per hour, 3 inches of rain, very few power outages, and everything is looking good as we get into the latter stage of the work week. Back to you.
All right, well, thank you so much for all your live reports throughout the weekend. And we'll have much more on Hurricane Michelle throughout the
receding from the Bahamas, heading out into the Atlantic. As of 10 p.m., top winds of 85 miles an hour. It is centered 680 miles southwest of Bermuda, heading to the east-northeast at 21 miles an hour. No convection near the center totally exposed. This thing will likely transition to an extratropical storm over the next 24 to 48 hours, but it caused a rough day in the Bahamas today. Here we go to Nassau, capital of the Bahamas, where the wind was whipping things around. Peak wind gust 87 miles an hour, torrential rain. Down comes the tree. Now, cleanup, well, that'll get going tomorrow in all likelihood as the system pulls away. Much quieter conditions out there right now. Still a few showers here just offshore of Miami, scooting southward. Might see a scattered shower onshore during the overnight hours, but northern and central Florida looking okay at the present time. As far as the path of Michelle, well, it's heading in the direction of Bermuda, where tropical storm warnings are posted, but we think it's going to pass south of the island. There's the island right there. So hopefully it will just be a glancing blow. As far as the rest of the southeast,
in the weekend and early next week, when it is a slight possibility that